Does it ever make sense to go and work for someone for free or next to nothing? That's what I'm going to be answering in today's episode. So the short answer is yes, absolutely it makes sense, and let me explain why. If you're in your young 20s, or really for any age that matter, if you see someone who's got the results that you want, you admire this person, they're at a point in life that one day you would like to be at, then going and working for them for next to nothing or even free, short term or even a little bit longer term, I think it's very smart. Because when you get to work with someone closely and you can observe them, you can observe how do they solve problems, how do they come up with innovative solutions, what's their general demeanor, their attitude, how do they operate. When you can see that up close and personal, you're going to learn so much more than if you take a job for a short-term higher salary, but you're not learning as much. I think that's one of the worst things you could do. Let's say you're in your young 20s and you've got two options. Option A is you can make $50,000 US per year in a company, and it's a good, safe job. It'll look all right on your resume and you think, okay, I can do that for a few years. Option two is you can go and work for a startup, and maybe there's some entrepreneur that you really admire. And you might not want to be an entrepreneur. You might want to work in a job and build a career, that's fine. But you really admire this person because they're out to change the world, or they've got some really innovative company, and you get a chance to go and work with them one-on-one, maybe as a personal assistant or whatever that role is, but it's for very little. It's for maybe half of what the first job does, or even less. I personally, if I was in your shoes, I would take the lower paying job. And I know that's easy for someone to say, you know, if you've got all of that money there on option A and then option B is a lot less, but the knowledge and the experience you get, it is worth so much more to you long term. It really is. Let me tell you a short story. When I was in my young 20s, I spent a number of years trying to get my career to move forwards, and it was just going nowhere. I just wasn't getting results, and I was showing up to work every day, but I just couldn't figure it out. There was a guy who was about 3-4 years older than I was. He was maybe 27 at the time. And he was making millions of dollars in his career. He was doing incredibly well. And I had the chance one day where he actually reached out to me and he offered me a job. And that job was to do some of his marketing for him. And I was basically going to be trading time for money and working with him closely. And the pay was pretty terrible, but I didn't even stop and think for a second whether I should do it or not. I just said straight away, I want to do it. I want to do it because I knew that I would learn so much more working with him one-on-one and just interacting with him on a daily basis, just sending him messages on Skype, hearing how he responds to me, learning how does this guy operate, what makes him tick to be so successful. That to me was worth far more than any salary. So I worked for him basically for nothing for a very long time, close to over a year. And the experience was one of the most valuable in my life. So we had to just quickly move locations, raining here and like it does in Costa Rica. But I was saying that experience, that was worth everything to me, okay? And from there, with what I learned from that one guy, I went on and my career really took off over the next few years. And I had a few mentors like that along the way where I never really thought of taking a salary, even though some of them did pay me a little bit. I really didn't give too much thought to the short-term money. All I wanted was the knowledge and the experience. I wanted to see them up close and personal and see how they operate. How do they get things done? A number of years later, when I finally was, quite successful in my late 20s in that last career, I had a young guy who did the same thing. He was in his young 20s, must have been 21, 22, something like that. And he picked up his whole life from the US. He came to work for me in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. And I don't think he'd ever even been out of the country at that point, but I wasn't paying him that much. He was coming there to be more like an apprentice and just to work with me on some marketing things. But you know, for the first year, he really didn't make that much, but he was there for different reasons. He wasn't there for the salary. He wanted to see, not just working with me, but inside the whole entity and see how things work. Over the next few years, that guy went on to become quite successful. So my point that I'm making here is that smart people, when they want to learn something to get to a certain stage in their career, they don't think so much about salary. Salary is important, but they think far more about knowledge and experience. And if you don't value that over salary, you're going to make poor decisions. You're going to take jobs and go and work for companies where they might look good on your resume, or they might pay you what you think is a good salary in the short term, but you will become far more successful in the long run when you put a premium on knowledge and experience. So that's my advice to you. Always choose positions where you're going to be learning something and learning from someone that you admire and who's got the results that you want. Okay, so I hope that helps you in some way. Don't forget to subscribe. Now, by the way, one more point I want to make here. There are people in life who have become incredibly good at their certain skill set. And there's people who have got really good at career skills or life skills or health and wellness skills. So one of the things that we're focusing on in my new startup, which is called strivecourses.com, we find these people. We bring them here to our film studio and we create products where they share their knowledge, where they share their expertise. If you would like to get access to everything that they know and their courses, go to strivecourses.com right now, go and read that letter on that page and become a member. Because for your monthly membership, you can get access to all these courses and also new courses that we add every month. And in addition to that, you're also going to be earning points. Now these points, they're going to allow you to attend live training events right here in Costa Rica and in 2022, some other locations. Hopefully when you come, the weather's a little bit nicer, but even in the green season, it's quite nice too. So if you want to learn more about that, go to strivecourses.com. I'm pretty excited about that because we've got a lot of great training products coming your way and I would love for you to get access to them. Okay, so that's it from me today. I'll see you tomorrow.